Daryl Davis, and I don't think I have the actual Daryl Davis. And this is, if I recall, it's pretty explicit language. Daryl Davis is a musician from New Orleans, and he heard, was it Duke? I forget. He was the Grand Wizard of the KKK speaking and talking about how and why he hated black people. And Daryl Davis said, how can he say that? He hasn't even met me. So Daryl Davis actually got a meeting set up with this man, Grand Wizard of the KKK, and said, I want to talk to him. And he decided not to tell him that he was black. And so they went and had the meeting, and his description is insane. It was contentious. At one point, they all did nearly shoot each other when the ice melted on the, they had a glass, they had wine, and the ice melted enough that the wine shifted and the thing fell over, and everybody reached for their weapons. He had a bodyguard and the whole 9 yards. But he decided he wanted to learn more about Dave. I forgot the name of the KKK guy, but he wanted to learn more, and he started interacting with the guy and interacting on his level and being honest about, look, I don't condone your views, but I want to learn who you are. And they started getting to know each other, and he started inviting him to Klan rallies. So Daryl Davis would come down to Klan rallies and have barbecue with all the Klansmen, and it caused a whole bunch of tension. And eventually what the Klansmen realized was that he liked Davis better than he liked the people who he was holding Klan rallies with. And after 2 years, he surrendered his robes to Daryl Davis. And Daryl Davis has sort of practiced this technique of just getting to know Klansmen. And I forget how many robes he's collected, where Klansmen will sit there and say, oh, yeah, I hear you collect robes. Well, I'll talk to you, but... And then years later, and it takes years, it's not, and people sit there and say, well, that's not, what is he really doing? I'm sitting there going, think about the people that these Klansmen would talk to, and how many people have you, quote, deconverted or whatever, just by sitting there using angry rhetoric. And he doesn't, he engages with them on a human, and it isn't fucking easy. And I know it sounds like wish thinking history, and most of the time, it's the only fucking thing that works. Everything else is sort of either hit or miss or temporary, and the only thing that affects change on a long term. Anyways, this is Daryl Davis. So let's play this.
With a Klansman in a robe and hood, and of course they'll have that visceral reaction like, "What the hell is going on here?"
It is something we never see. A black man attending KKK rallies, where crosses are burning and racist views are being spewed.
Some of their beliefs are that African Americans, black people, are born with smaller brains, that we are inherently lazy, we are inherently prone to crime, raping people, especially white women.
Despite that offensive ideology, Daryl Davis has spent decades befriending members of the Ku Klux Klan.
How do you talk to someone when someone's calling you the N-word?
Because you take the higher road. You know who you are.
There is one question Daryl has repeatedly asked members of the Klan.
How can you hate me when you don't even know me? They've never had an answer that they can come up with that justifies how they can hate me.
His conversations with Klansmen resulted in something Daryl never expected.
I would find things in common. And as I began to build on those commonalities, the things that we had in contrast as trivial as skin color began to matter less and less. And as I built upon those commonalities, a relationship was formed.
In the last 30 years, Daryl says 200 members across the country have left the KKK as a direct result of his involvement.
He was very vicious, very violent, and very racist. But at the very end, he said that he respected me.
Many of those who've left have given Daryl their robes and hoods. He keeps them in his home. It's a journey that is documented in the film Accidental Courtesy.
I consider Frank to be my friend.
I consider Daryl to be my friend as well.
What do you think about the current tension in America?
The culture of racism existed long before Donald Trump, long before President Obama, long before Bush or Clinton or whoever. We, American citizens, are to blame for fostering that culture of racism. Talking about race in this country has been taboo for a very long time. People don't want to talk about it.
Daryl believes the only way to end racism is to confront it head on.
Progress is made when you give somebody a platform where they can express their views, even if you don't agree with them. When two enemies are talking, they're not fighting, they're talking. It's when the talking ceases that the ground becomes fertile for violence.
Gina Silva.
I've got several clips. What I dislike about this one is it doesn't show. It was actually, was it PBS? I think it was Frontline. Followed him around for like a month. And they took the cameras to the Klan rallies, and oh my God, lots of guns and fires and barbecue and all sorts of interesting stuff, and some fights breaking out over the fact that he was there. The Grand Wizard who had invited him, and presumably as the Grand Wizard had the right to invite anybody he wanted, things got crazy.